Welcome back to Fighters Drinking Coffee. Today we are here with RJ Nealon. He is the world silver medalist for AGP for Jiu-Jitsu, and he is also a sports journalist with Special Olympics North America. I've known him for almost a decade at this point. RJ, tell us about how you got into Jiu-Jitsu. Let's start there.
Remix.
Nothing like starting out with a tongue twister.
Yeah.
I got into jiu-jitsu just from watching the UFC growing up. I grew up watching Uriah Faber, Matt Brown, Jose Aldo, and I wanted to be a fighter. Like, that's what I wanted to do. So I started training jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, anything I really could. And then when I tried to fight, obviously the commission wouldn't let me because of my cerebral palsy. But that didn't mean I couldn't compete at jiu-jitsu at the highest level. But I'm like the typical like blue belt, like you get your blue belt and then quit and then come back to it. I quit when I went to school.
You're a bad boy.
When did you start? Were you doing jiu-jitsu back in high school, or was this
It was
a break in between?
I started like right after we graduated high school. Like that summer I started with Big Lawrence.
At his place, what was Sherman?
No, back then it was complete jiu-jitsu behind Big Bat. On Kent Island.
That was where actually a bunch of guys who went to high school trained there.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is out in Kent Island.
Kent Island. So right when you get across the Bay Bridge.
The Eastern Shore, Maryland, for those who don't know.
It's for a lot of people, they might know it as the place that you get across the bridge and you're just trying to keep driving on Route 50. There's probably a good group of people that's their knowledge of the.
That's about to
of
be
the
me
area.
in like 2 hours. I'm about to drive right by Kent Island, I think, on my way to Delaware.
Oh, you will.
You will.
All right, nice.
You'll be driving right
wave.
through. Unless you go up and around.
I don't know, man. I just want to.
That would
the
take
most
you
direct
like 4
path.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go up and around.
No.
No.
That's how I was telling him to go last weekend when we were looking at it.
Do I get on that bridge?
The big one?
The big one.
Oh, yeah.
All right, sweet. And that's also where like it bottlenecks. That's where everyone tries to get on that bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a little better now than it used to be.
All right.
Yeah.
There's no longer a toll plaza, so there's not people like stopping.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that helps, but it's still a
So
thing.
anyways,
But despite Scott's
the traffic
request,
patterns in and out of
so
Maryland
quick
to
little insight
Delaware.
into we'll give that back.
Yeah, I
in
mean, shout out to
lives.
Shane Marshall. Shane Marshall's been on the show. He's fighting tonight. Stellar Fights.
Yeah,
He made 195. Skinny guy. He's a big unit, dude. He usually trains with us on Saturdays. Come back through sometime. You'll see this huge, like, all-American looking like G.I. Joe, dude. That's what he looks like. Jacked as hell, dude. Like, clean cut, haircut. But he's fighting tonight. He's gonna go smash some dude and then like get the straps championship fight. So
that's right. Cruiserweight.
Cruiserweight. Yeah.
Is this the guy that's fighting Azim Bell
Oh,
I'll
that's
tell you the dude's name.
out of Delaware?
Probably definitely a Delaware bro. Let's see, guys. I think that sounds.
I think his opponent's Azim Bell.
Is he a friend of yours?
No.
He's got to go.
I know him.
gotta go.
I know him through the martial arts community.
It is. It's it says Bell, so that's the guy.
Yeah, that's
Azim Bell.
Azim Bell. Yeah, so thattle be
Shane's got to take him out, man. I hate to say it.
The results
Rules
will
are
already
rules.
be in by the time this comes out. So maybe I'll put a little postscript on
There you
here
go.
with the results. Maybe we'll see.
Maybe we'll see.
See how deep I get into editing it
Uh-huh.
after the rest of the recordings for the weekend.
Okay.
But yeah, so you were training over at Complete Jiu-Jitsu after graduating high school, with Aaron Lawrence. And so training there, and then were you there through your blue belt
no
first time?
No, I trained there for a couple months, and then I started cross training at Conquest with a lot of the MMA guys.
Did you go to Crofton?
I did.
I used to train out there, dude.
Yeah,
Forever ago.
we probably trained together.
Well,
I trained, dude. This was in like before I moved to Arlington. I trained at Conquest with
so it was probably
Trying to
just before you, because
this was in probably 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, that's
right
Does
around
that
the
check
same
out?
time.
Around
yeah,
the same time.
because I was training at Complete, but then I wanted to get into the
With
competition.
Kai
and Lance,
yeah,
and
Lance and Nate. Yeah,
Vicente,
that's right.
all those guys.
Yeah, good dudes.
Yeah, Yeah.
Tough dudes too, man. They were tough.
But I started going over to the noon class and training with like Tony Debedanza and Micah Terrell and all those dudes. And I kind of got comfortable with the fact that I was never going to fight in the cage, but I could be the training partner to help these dudes get ready to fight. And just like the competitiveness over there, like that was more my vibe. Like I wanted to be a competitor, whereas like Complete was more of like a open mat type mat club.
Casual spot.
Yeah. Just like a lot of hobbyists. And I wanted to be around the guys that did this full time.
Is that when you decided you wanted to start being a competitor then?
Yeah, definitely. But I did the same thing that all blue belts do. I decided to go to college and stop training.
Yeah, you quit. So you did the blue belt quit, and about how long? I think
blue belt.
I think
blues.
all of us did that.
No, my ass never
No, actually,
quit.
no. I did.
I had a hiatus, but I can explain why.
My hiatus was at purple, and
Mine technically was too.
I just want to be purple forever.
No, dude, that's unacceptable.
But so how long was it the entirety of college? Did you pick it up at all while you were still?
I mean,
you went to Alabama, right?
Yeah, I went to Alabama, and there wasn't really a jiu-jitsu school like in the college town at the time. There was a math
It's like
club.
Alabama, like Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, like Roll
Like
Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's why you went to Kentucky.
I went to Kentucky,
Yeah.
bro. SEC, dude. I mean, you guys just like, if it wasn't a basketball game, there was just nothing. There was no chance. And this is also Saban too. Like you had Saban at the time.
Yeah, I worked with the athletic department. So I was
Buddy.
around Saban. I was around the football guys.
Was that awesome?
Yeah, it was so cool. But like student life and work life with the athletic department, there is no such thing. It was like a full-time job.
I mean,
On
dude,
top
are you
of being a
kidding me,
full-time
man?
student.
This is before NIL too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like these dudes were basically NIL-ing it.
Yeah, I
Like-
mean, I was there for like Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry, Damian Harris, Eddie Jackson, Minka Fitzpatrick.
Oh yeah, that was a sick time to be watching
Like-
Alabama football.
I mean, not to
too.
geek out
Yeah.
on too much football, though we could probably do that. Like, I mean, if people who don't know, I mean, Alabama football is basically like, here's the thing. I mean, I guess I'm kind of biased because I'm in the SEC, but like Kentucky is like a good, just athletic program in general. But like Alabama it's the number one program. It's like the Penn State wrestling of football.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm using a meathead or like combat sports
No,
analogy
it's-
for our listeners. It's the program. I mean, there's many very good programs in the country.
I imagine people
I think-
that
I
are
mean-
listening to this will understand that.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
probably people listening to just fucking know it, dude. Like everyone knows Alabama football.
It's,
But hey, we have some foreigners. We have some like Europeans, and
Oh, yeah, we have
which is awesome.
one or two guys in the UK.
Shout out to the UK bros.
Berlin,
Shout out to to our Euro friends, to our South Americans,
it's American
to our,
football.
some Asians.
Yeah, and this is American football, just to clarify.
Yeah,
It's not,
it's
not talking about what
It's-
we would refer to as soccer here.
no, yeah, we call that soccer. I mean,
I mean,
this is
I even have friends that like don't watch. Like they could care less about what game is on Saturday night, but they still know like Alabama football is
it's the
the
program.
standard.
It's the program.
It's the standard.
It's the program,
Um,
and that's what all Alabama has for sports. Like, well,
Hey,
actually,
hey,
their basketball
hey,
team has been
hey.
pretty decent.
we're good at basketball now. We're good at gymnastics. We're
I
good
mean,
at
college
softball.
sports is all that Alabama has. I
Yes.
think, right?
Yes.
They might have some hockey or some like small like AAA shit, but like Alabama's the sport.
Yeah. There is no pro
That's the
team.
program. That's the pro team.
Yeah. There is no pro team in the state of Alabama. So you're either with Auburn or Alabama.
Auburn also a good program. I mean,
Um,
they can't compare to.
But when it came to like student life, like there was a mat club on campus and I went once and I was the only blue belt. Everyone else was white belt. And I was like, yeah, I am not doing this. Like I just got my blue belt. I am not being the highest belt.
You didn't want to
here.
babysit them all?
No.
Okay.
Be the one with the target on your back too. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
dude,
no.
just trying to
around
reach
what
you.
year was this, by the way?
That was 2015.
2015. Let's see. That was 10 years ago. I bet if you went back to Tuscaloosa now, there's probably 2 or 3 spots down there.
There's an American top team
There you go.
affiliate.
Back in
Tuscaloosa.
2015, man, like I mean, especially in the South, too, like unless you were in like maybe like metropolitan areas, there wasn't really a lot of academies. So like back then, dude, that was kind of what you had.
Yeah. And I'm sure there was like a jiu-jitsu school in Tuscaloosa that like rented space out in a weightlifting gym or something. I just didn't
You were a college
try
student.
hard enough to look. I mean, I was a college student. I enjoyed myself. I was working with the athletic department.
You were busy.
Yeah.
Guy was busy.
And I
He had things to
don't
do.
regret taking the hiatus from jiu-jitsu because I got to do some cool stuff at Alabama. Got to do some cool stuff starting my career. And then COVID happened and I had to put starting jiu-jitsu off another, 2 years? But once I got back into it,
Jiu-jitsu became like a kind of like speakeasy style. It was sort of like you had
Oh,
to go to
yeah.
a place where you're like, hey, we know this guy. He's not going to rat us out.
Yeah, you'd
Yeah.
be in
We
the
went underground.
trusted inner circle.
We went underground. But hey, we're not going to stop fighting.
No.
Government can't stop us
No,
from fighting.
I feel like
That's
jiu-jitsu.
That's like American like pitchfork. Like hell no, we're gonna fight.
I also feel like it helps people stay healthy. Like
100%.
training with other human beings, like your immune system is going to get stronger.
And mental health.
It
Like,
also
and
it
mental
also
health.
keeps you from like you have something to do, so you're not going to the other places where you're probably going to be around people you don't know. Like you're just building a circle, right?
It's a community thing, man. I
Yeah.
mean, it's sort of like, they tried to dehumanize us for about, a couple of years with the whole COVID thing. It didn't work. Americans are too strong and proud for that. I won't accept it. But, we persevere.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Anyways, you were saying though, like you were talking about like your journey.
so
man.
you got-
COVID kind of jammed you up.
Yeah, COVID kind of jammed me up. But then once I got back into it, man, it took me maybe 6 months to get everything back and get back into that like competitive mindset. Started competing every weekend.
so
All the local
what
stuff.
year is this? Is this like 22, 20?
2022, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that was around when like things like by then shit was beginning to be normal again.
Yeah.
Things
it was-
started to open up. They were having kids class again. They were having regular class. Like we didn't have to wear a mask during training.
Back in Kent.
Yeah,
Kent
Kent
Island.
Island. And started competing like every local tournament you could think of. Like I was signing up. I just wanted to compete. And it wasn't until I got halfway through blue belt that my goal started to shift to like the bigger tournaments and wanting to actually like try and do something with this, not just be a hobbyist competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is that around the time that you started really going into like the bigger organizations, IBJJF, all of that, or focusing more on like expanding? Like now you're a sponsored athlete or competing in very big tournaments. So is that kind of that trigger that like
Yeah,
turning
that's where
point?
that
The pro
shift
transition
was.
kind of must.
Yeah.
What were the first couple organizations you started to go in? Did you figure out like what rule sets you liked? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so like a rule set like ADCC is not gonna be my area of success, I don't think. I mean, I have cerebral palsy, so when I get into scrambles and stuff, like I'm probably gonna lose that scramble. I mean, this morning I brought on my back to play guard every single time.
Well, I'd be curious to hear about your style that you like too
And-
in a
and-
minute, man.
So like IBJJF is really like my forte. Like slow it down,
Tactical.
get those advantages. Hey, if I win by one advantage,
It's a win.
it's a win. It might not be exciting, but it's a win.
You're learning how to win the game, man.
When we didn't fully explain this on the lead in, explain kind of for the people who don't know about you or haven't heard, like explain the limitations because of your cerebral palsy that like specifically like, it's what's limited and what's hindered because of that. And then,
And how it's informed like your competitive style.
Yeah, so it affects my entire right side of my body, right leg and right arm. But I think I've gotten to the point in my jiu-jitsu where like I can't even tell. I know my opponents can tell sometimes. But like, for example, I just competed in Spain a couple weeks ago and made it to the finals of Nogi. And me and my opponent got match of the day. And the organizer, tongue twister again, came up to me and he was like, man, despite what physical limitations you got, he's like, your jiu-jitsu is some of the most beautiful jiu-jitsu I've seen. He's like, your guard is insane. The guy tried to pass my guard for 5 minutes and couldn't do it.
Fuck, we should have reformatted some of the drills so we were playing off that. Next time we will.
Yeah. Well,
That's cool, man.
Well, and I noticed when we were rolling, like kind of at the beginning when we did that flow roll session, like the way that you grip is cool because like you're still applying grips even with the weakened side. So it was pretty cool to see like how you adjust like the grips. I know you do seminars on this kind of stuff too. Like the way that you adapt your grip to still like establish things like when we're doing like the takedown drilling, like how you can still establish those grips around the leg, the body, or doing the leg lock stuff. Like it's really cool. Like,
yeah, the overhooks, underhooks. I use my arm like a captain hook, like, like
Yeah.
for an ankle pick.
You know your body, you know, like, you're like, all right, like you know your resources. You've kind of audited it. You're like, all right, here are my weapons. Here's what I need to do. This is what I can do here. This is what I can't do there.
Exactly.
And you fight around it.
That's why, like at IBJJF, once the ref says combats, like I'm pulling guard immediately. I'm sliding in, doing that competition, guard pull, getting a berimbolo, some type of inversion. And it works for me. And a lot of people just don't understand how it works. They're like, dude, I don't understand how you're able to do what you do with the type of CP you have. And I'm like, it's because of who I train with. They don't take it easy on me.
Hey, well, you know what? They don't need to know. You're like, hey, this is for me to know and for you to find out. This is
Yeah.
a tournament, bro.
yeah.
The last time I went to my doctor, she was like talking to me about like wanting me to start physical therapy again and whatnot. And I was like, well, I do jiu-jitsu. And I started showing her videos and she's like, oh, keep doing that. Just add like strength and conditioning into your routine or whatever. And she was like, I hope you realize like the type of CP you have, you shouldn't be able to react to things the way you do or be able to like move the way you do. So she was like, that's just like a testament to like your coaches and your training partners and the way you go into training and the mindset. She was like, keep that up because
It's good
like,
for you.
she was like, as you grow older, you're going to be able to move a lot more than somebody else with CP that isn't staying active.
Hey, dude, sidebar comment, but we have a strength conditioning guy that he does remote work with athletes all over. He would really love to sink his teeth into like a custom program. So just sidebar comment.
That would be sick.
If you need a
link
guy,
you up.
That would be sick because that's
Dude.
like the one thing that I'm like, I strength and condition, but it's like on my own. Like adding a coach or somebody that does it. And
He specializes in working with BJJ athletes. man.
yeah, see,
So he's very good at what he does.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's-
Shout out to Asim.
Yeah. Shout
See
out
him tomorrow.
to Seam. Nova.
You know who we're
Club.
talking about. I know you're listening.
Oh, he'll be listening. Yeah. He would
Dude, love to work with you, man.
He would love it. So we'll
like him.
We'll get
too.
you linked up
He's a
with
wild
him.
man. You'll like
that'd
him.
be cool.
Yeah, we'll get you linked up with him. That could be a cool. I think he'd like that. He might even do it for the science.
Yeah, well, he's very passionate about programming and also like you said, kind of like a science, or he's like a mad scientist the way he likes to kind of like see like, hey, how are things working for my guys and like experiment with the ingredients. Excuse me. Yeah, I think you guys will. But
like you guys said, like I do seminars, like adaptive jiu-jitsu seminars or guest teaching, every now and then. And I've had gyms, like, I haven't had any gym say no. They've always like said, hey, this is a great idea. We love what you're doing. Like, contact us in a few months after like the knee season or after the majors happen. But I've had black belts like say the reason they've said yes to my adaptive seminars is like, we want to just know how you're kind of doing what you're doing, given your physical limitations. They're like, it doesn't add up. Like, scientifically, it doesn't add up. They're like, we just want to see how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, we're curious.
Yeah, how are you rolling with one side of your body, basically,
And winning.
Yeah, successfully.
And by the way, this is like an exercise, strategic exercise that like any athlete, whether they require adaptive training or just whatever, everyone needs to figure out what their style is going to be, how they're going to fight. That kind of just basically like everyone needs to like audit their body, what they're athletically naturally inclined towards, or not for that matter. And so just the ability to kind of like, you've done that. Like you have that self-reflection of like, this is how I'm going to fight and how I'm going to win. You know what you can and what you can't do. And I'm sure you're still learning that and kind of
I'm still learning
evolving that, right?
It was a long time before I won. It's so weird because at white belt when I competed, like I was winning matches. I was getting on the podium and I was like, oh, this transition to blue belt.
No big deal.
It's going to be easy. And then I started losing like in like 30 seconds.
Weird. Guys get better like, when you go up, right?
Like it was bad. Like it was lucky if I'd make it a minute. And then the more I competed, I started losing on points. I started losing by an advantage. Then I started winning by points and winning by submission. And it was like so cool to see that growth of just getting smoked every time. And just like data collecting, taking it back to the gym, adding it into my training and like seeing it grow.
Well, we talk about that a lot when we're going over competition. Like a lot of it is just that self benchmarking. And yeah, being able to take it back and improve on it. And then you know that it worked, the improvements you made, or, you get a little bit closer, like you're saying. Yeah, it's like, it's a really good way to actually track versus just doing stuff in the gym.
And I think that's what sets apart like the real competitors and the hobbyist competitors. I feel like a lot of competitors just compete to compete because it's a cool thing to say that you're a competitor. So they'll sign up for every local tournament and they don't really see growth. Whereas like the guys from, more of the competitive gyms, like they'll compete, they'll go back, data, analyze, and fix that type of stuff.
Well, it's like you said, there's like the people who want to compete just to compete. Nothing wrong with that. And there's people who want to compete to win.
Yeah.
They have goals.
Yeah. And
they're the ones who are like, we got to get this data. We have to be informed.
They're the ones
process to
they're the ones that, watch film, study film, watch other tournaments. I mean, this past week was the IBJJF World Championships. I was watching the purple, brown, and black featherweights and light featherweights because that's my weight class. So I was like watching them, studying how they did things. And like you said, like trust the process. Like
Are you doing more gi, no gi? Do you have a preference right now?
I do. I'd say more gi just because of the classes at Conquest, more gi, but I try and do 50-50. I compete better in no gi. And I think that's because of the grips. Like I'm not going to get a lasso going on my weak side.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
It's a lot less of playing down.
Yeah, whereas like no-gi, I can overhook, underhook. I can use body locks, stuff like that.
Okay, so one thing we touched upon, I want to keep talking about too, man, is like going back to the organizations, the rule sets, and what you're focusing on. Probably talk a little bit about some of your goals too, but like you talked about IBJJF's, like the frequency and access to tournaments. There's just a lot of them, right? Like they're all over the place, and it's a good place for any serious competitor to constantly get more reps and build up to. They also have like major tournaments that you can target that as like, this is what I want to win. I want to win Pans, Worlds, whatever. And then you can go to your regionals around it. So therefore it's a good organization for that. You're also doing, Abu Dhabi's.
Yeah. AJP's.
AJP's similarly formatted, but it's a little different.
Similar, but they're more like right? European. They're more,
the locations are a little different.
Yeah, but the biggest difference is all their matches are 5 minutes. So if you're a black belt in IBJJF, you get a 10-minute match. Whereas the AJP is 5 minutes. And that's it. And they do that on purpose to keep the action going. Mm-hmm. They don't want
boring, long
people
matches,
to sit there in a double guard pool.
Stall out for 4 minutes.
7 minutes.
And then they initiate action whenever they feel like they're ready for it.
And then what's weird is like IBJJF has points, advantages, penalties. AJP, they all combine it together. So it's like really weird. I don't like it.
It's been a while since I've done an AJP. I did one
And then like small little grips. Like when I hit a berimbolo, I like to grab the back of the gi bands. Like I like to like get a big chunk of their butt.
Yeah.
AJP, you can't do that. You got to grab the actual fabric.
I see.
On like the butt cheek. Like you can't grab the waistband.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a penalty.
So they have more like grip limitations than IB. That's great.
I was training at the De La Riva Academy in Abu Dhabi last November ahead of the World Championships, and one of the black belts saw me start to invert, and I grabbed the waistband, and he kind of like slapped my hand. He was like, "Hey,
that's
a
wrong.
penalty." He's like, "That's a penalty. Like, don't." He's like, "IBJJF, you're good. AJP, don't do that."
Was that like eye opening for you? You're like,
yeah, because I had
fuck.
no idea, and I would have done that in the tournament.
Sure. Are you glad he slapped your hand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that one? Were you already in that circuit for AGP before
That was the
Worlds?
first ever AJP tournament I did was the World Championships. It was like I would do IBJJFs, and my thought process was, all right, if I can win or if I can be competitive against able-bodied dudes, I can go over to Abu Dhabi and beat all the adaptive athletes. And
I mean, a fair assessment.
It worked out kind of. I mean, I made it to the finals. I lost to some guy from Mongolia, but it was like a competitive match. Did some really good jiu-jitsu, and I credit it to doing IBJJF, so competing against the best dudes. And even though I wasn't winning all of them, I was being competitive. I was able to get points, and I think it was a good process to think about.
Yeah. So right now, what are some of the bigger goals you have that you're targeting?
So the biggest goal is to go back to Abu Dhabi this November and get gold. Last year I got to the finals.
Tell us the tournament. What's the tournament? When is it?
The Abu Dhabi Para World Championships. It's like a 2-week tournament. I fight on November 13th. But then the black belts are like 2 weeks after. It's like a 2 or 3 week tournament.
So this is
it's a big deal.
A lot of people too.
And jiu-jitsu is the national sport for the United Arab Emirates. So like it's a big thing.
They've been pumping a lot of money into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Bringing over a lot of the top guys to do like the UAE teams and everything.
And you get on the podium, you get like cash prizes. So like athletes are wanting to compete in that circuit. And they treat the adaptive athletes like royalty. And they treated us just like they would any other black belt. Like it's pretty incredible. But obviously I got silver. I got a taste of what it was like fighting for a world championship. And I still think my jiu-jitsu is better than my opponent. He was just stronger than me. It goes back to adding strength and conditioning, like a legit strength and conditioning program into my training. And then on top of that, like just teaching seminars. I want to do like a seminar tour. Just doing seminars and promoting adaptive jiu-jitsu and opening people's eyes to a different perspective. I believe jiu-jitsu is the most adaptable martial art there is, and I want to showcase.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I have a guy who trains with us who's blind, and I think he actually picks it up faster than a lot of other people do, because if you just adapt the little things for whatever someone's limitation is, like it's pretty impressive what people can do. Also just what people can do in general outside of that. But I think the people that get into it that have those limitations, I think they find a lot more value and they find their path a lot quicker than people who don't have any limitations. The guys that don't have limitations don't have too many options almost. Like a lot of them get too like kind of wrapped up in like trying to do everything rather than trying to figure out how to play a game that works for them.
Yep.
Whereas watching people who do have to adapt the sport, like they have to find out what their game is before anything else, because I mean, you probably have more insight into that.
No, you're spot on. Like, I feel like everyone else can kind of do a little bit of everything, like do takedowns, play top game, do all these stuff. And for me, it's like, no, I'm getting the guard. I'm going to enter leg entanglements or try and take the back. Very strategic on getting the advantage. If we double guard pull, I'm going to come up to get that advantage. It's very strategic of how I train, what I can and can't do.
I feel like he's trying to lead me into some fake trap because we're probably competing against each other in July. He's telling me all these things that he's not going to do.
He doesn't have to.
I'm onto him.
You know what, one thing I'd say though, that's I think interesting about this, and back to what we were talking about on the seminars, that like you said, like black belts from all kinds of academies are saying, hey, come teach how you do what you do. What I would argue is like people with quote unquote without limitations. Like I think everyone, especially in sport, jiu-jitsu, people do have limitations. They just don't know, they
don't know how to address
they don't know how to, they don't know how to identify it, what it is. Whereas like
they don't have a cut and dry.
If like you said, like your friend who's blind, you have cerebral palsy, and like you're dialed in, you're self-aware. You're like, all right, I know my limitations. Therefore, here's how I'm going to fight. Like just that exercise is really valuable for, I don't know, like regular folks too, because people, like I have limitations when I compete. Like I shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. And it could be like whatever. You know, maybe I don't want to do leg locks against a professional leg locker. I want to grapple them more wrestling, positional, that get to the neck style. But if people who aren't experienced at like self-reflecting and figuring out like how do I win and how do I lose when I play jiu-jitsu? Because like at the end of the day, it is a game. And everyone is going to have some variation of that thought process. And if you're not doing that exercise, it's just a blind spot. Like I'll tell you, back to what we were talking about, like watching tape, being self-reflective, getting data and shit. Like, I mean, I try to do this too, where I like watch things and I'm like, this is just like, if I watch a match that I've lost, I'm like, well, I kind of fought a way that I don't fight like that.
Yep.
I don't win like that.
I mean, we talked about this we did a like reflection episodes on competitions that we had. And like, we talked about like, you do one tournament and you figure out like, oh, like if I start off with X, Y, or Z grip in the initial stand up engagement, like
this is how I win. This is how I attack.
Yeah. If I do this, then the person is going to end up in their position, and that's not the way I should start because that's not where I want to be anyways. So, like you have to look at that stuff. And you talked about how you look back at everything too. Like that's what makes you better, is you can actually look at what your self-reflect on those limitations that you're creating for yourself or that you have.
The match itself imposes limitations on you. Like you said, like AJP, you get 5 minutes to impose your game on the other dude.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, how do I impose my game? This is every athlete has to think about this, adaptive or not.
Yeah.
Like you have to know that.
Especially if you're coming from IBJJF and then going to AJP and like matches are shorter. They combine the advantages and points. Like it is a strategy game. I know if I execute my guard to the best of my ability, I am in good shape to win that match. If I get to the jiu-jitsu part of the match before my opponent, if I let him get to the jiu-jitsu part of it first, then
you got work to do.
I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
Especially for me, like once they start scoring points on me, it's really hard to come back.
I mean, that goes for everyone.
That goes for everyone.
But it's a good call out. Like you said,
Yeah.
It's just imposing the game. You're like, oh shit. Like I want to start off like this. He starts off like whatever. And you gotta be able to adapt a little bit too. Like these things are fluid, but to your point, it's just a call out to like knowing where and how you want to start.
Being aware.
Being aware.
And I have a subscription to AOJ Plus, the online database for AOJ. And that's really helped me out because I mean, their athletes are the best of the best.
Top tier.
World champion. You train there, you're going to be a world champion. Or you're going to at least compete for one.
You can throw a pebble in that room and probably hit a world champion.
Yeah. And I've been studying them and watching them and how they analyze their matches, how they break it down, every little detail. And I'm like, this is what I need. Because my margin of error is small. I mean, everyone's margin of error is small. Mine's even small. So it's like, how do I minimize those scenarios?
So let me ask you this question. Like where you're training right now, like your main, like your headquarters, Ken Island?
Conquest and Military.
Conquest. Right. Okay. Conquest and Conquest has a good competitive team too. Are you in a room full of other guys who are pretty active? Are you the main competitor where you are?
So there's a couple of us. There's, Vicente's son, Gabriel. He just turned 15, so he'll be juvenile blue belt soon, but he's still in the kids division. Doesn't matter. He still beats me up.
He's been just training forever. He's nasty, I'm sure.
He's so nasty.
Yeah,
European champ
before he could walk.
Yeah, like 3-time European champ, pan champ. He's competing in Brazil next week for Brazilian national.
And how much does he weigh?
141.
So he's a good training partner for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great training partner for you.
And then, you probably remember, Mikey Mayo.
I do.
He was probably like 6 years old at the time. Well, he's a black belt now.
Cool.
I
know Mike. I've competed against Mike.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
Mikey Mayo.
Yeah, he's a great kid.
Yeah. So he's my main trainer.
Good. Is he featherweight now?
For the majors, he'll cut the light feather.
Okay.
But for the opens,
so you have two dudes around your size who are like very good.
And then I have a really good friend and training partner, Gabby Best. She owns her own gym in Milford, Delaware. And she has a good understanding, and maybe this is a female thing, but she has a good understanding what I can and can't do and how to coach it better than a lot of.
You mean you specifically?
Yeah. Like Mikey can do it too, I guess, because we train so much
together. He knows
together.
Your style really
He
well.
knows exactly what I can do, exactly what I can't do. And she competes at featherweight for the female division, which is around like the light featherweight for male. So I have some really good training partners in that sense. Everyone else is bigger than me, more muscular. So I just try and keep my guard.
Dude, 2 to 3 good training partners who it sounds like, and you have at least 3 from what I'm hearing, who are all like competitive, around the same size. Like you trust them. They're not going to do anything crazy to you, but they're going to push you. Dude, that's huge.
Exactly. And
you don't need more than that. I mean, anything more than that's nice, but like that's a foundation upon which you can build a good program.
I think that's what I was missing last year in Abu Dhabi was, I had a coach that was going to come with me and, life happens. He wasn't able to come. So last minute, like I asked, remember Vicky Islas?
Yeah.
From high school? I asked him to come. He's now a black belt. And even though I've known him for 15 plus years and I trusted him, he was telling me things like it wasn't wrong coaching. He was telling me the correct thing, but because of my physical limitation, I just couldn't do it.
I get it.
And
they weren't the right things for you.
Exactly. Yeah. They weren't the wrong thing, but I feel like having somebody like Mikey or Gabby in my corner, knowing exactly what I can and can't do. I think that little adjustment is what is going to make the difference between making it to the finals and losing and earning silver or making it to the finals and win. And coaching is so important. I don't care what anyone says. Like coaching, if you have a good coach, you can be successful.
And that's actually a really good point. Do you specifically, cause I know like you listen for specific voices, like when you're on the mat, like you have to get really good at singling out. You have to get really good at singling out the voice of your coach too. And so even hearing a different person doing your call outs, even if it's the right call outs, it's a lot harder to pick up on that when you're in a loud room.
Especially in like IBJJF, like the Virginia Open. We're in this convention center.
Yeah.
And it's pretty loud.
And they can't go back. They're like sitting
and
they're sitting on the barrier being like, hey, RJ, do this.
Yeah, they can't be next to the mat. So like, and I have a coach with me. I pick where they are. Like I know where they are before the match even starts. I'm like, Mikey's right there. Gabby's right there. And so I know where to look and I know where to kind of listen. A lot of times Mikey is competing at the same time I am.
Which is tricky,
but we always analyze the matches and go back and, work on things. I competed in London too, like 2 months ago. And that entire camp, we worked on staying on top because the Virginia Open, when was that? February?
March.
That was March?
Yeah.
I won the match 8-6.
This was a close match.
But every time I got a sweep, I would let him sweep me right back because I wanted to play guard.
I get it.
And so,
And you just need that 2-point lead.
yeah. And I was going up 2-0, 2-2, 4-0, like, and back and forth. And Mikey was like, dude, you got to work on your top game. Like, you're getting these sweeps and then you're letting them get the points because you want to play guard. And I think the entire tournament in London, I think I played guard for like 20 seconds. And that was it. I got my
the
sweep.
Adjustments are working.
I got my sweep and I stayed on top and tried to pass.
That was with reorg, right?
Yeah, that was
London?
with reorg. And the cool thing with the adapted division, there's just not a lot of adaptive athletes. So all the belt levels are put together. So I got to compete against my first black belt, got the win.
Hell yeah.
Never felt grip strength like that in my life. And there's also no weight class, which kind of sucks. For me, as
So
I
you basically did an absolute division.
basically,
Absolute ranks.
the guy I lost to was like 200 pounds of pure muscle, and he was an amputee. Like, he was 200 pounds without his leg.
Oh my God.
And he just drove me around like, I did get the 2 points for the takedown. I single-legged him. I blast single-legged him.
You got rid of the last leg you had to stand on.
Yeah, and then I
Just-
passed his guard, and all he did was throw me over.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that was pretty much the match.
Yeah, that was what you did in London. Was there anything, did you get a chance to do takeaways from London and use that when you went to, 'cause Spain was the next one?
Yeah, so Spain was exactly 10 days after London. So I came home and basically went right back to Spain. And yeah, me and Mikey sat down, talked about what I did well, had some, pointers and ideas and goals for Spain. And, unfortunately in Spain, no adaptive athletes showed up. So I was the only one. So they threw me in the adult purple featherweight division. But I had some great matches, man. Did a few inversions, got a few takedowns, fought out of a nasty footlock. Like, the dude had the footlock. I'll show you a photo of it later. The dude had it, and he was giving me that look like, why ain't you tapping?
He's like, do you need me to break
Like,
this, bro?
And it was like,
You're wild, man.
and he looks at the ref, and the ref's like,
Can't
keep
stop
going.
the guy, yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, I just flew. It took me like 31 hours to get there because I had a 19-hour layover in Belgium. And then the flight kept getting delayed. So it took me like 31 hours total. I was like, dude, I'm not tapping. We're 2 minutes into this match. I'm not tapping. Next day, I could barely walk.
You're like, I'm getting
But-
5 minutes right now.
That's like, I feel like that's my superpower because like straight ankle locks, like, I'm not going to tap to it. Like, I'll tap to it in the training room. I'm not tapping to that in the corner.
That's so fun.
You're going to have to Aoki it.
Yeah. Kill me.
You're gonna have to threaten more than my ankle. It's fair. It's fair. What organization was that one with too?
That was with Camorra Cup.
Is that something that's, I guess that's like a European?
That's like Spain's largest
Okay.
jiu-jitsu promotion. That's like only held in Spain. Obviously they have AJPs in Spain, and they usually do an IBJJF in Barcelona. But like Camorra Cup is like Spain's largest.
Yeah, that's
promotion.
their like big.
And they
national
have
one.
they have a para division, brand new. But I had the opportunity to go. The flight was like $490, like super cheap
Like,
for an
damn.
international flight. So I was like,
What was
yeah, I'm
that
gonna go
19-hour layover in Belgium? That was what.
yeah.
Get out.
But that was that layover was cool. My mom went to the International School of Brussels for high school, so it was cool to like see Belgium and see what it was like. I mean, obviously, she went to high school a long time ago. Sorry, Mom, but like Belgium's a lot different now. But it was just cool to see like where she grew up, essentially.
Yeah, I would imagine this would be cool, especially in a different country. Like,
It was really cool. And I also like traveling solo. I mean, I went to Peru a couple of years ago to volunteer with Guardian, to help, teach kids jujitsu in Vancouver. Went by myself, had a lot of fun, some sketchy moments.
As all solo travel has.
Yeah.
Shit, man, that's awesome. This is a cool story.
yeah. Do you have any other plans like that? Well, actually, before that, do you find it easier? So now that you've done the European thing, is it easier to find the adaptive divisions over there? Is it hard to find adaptive like competition in the United States?
Yeah.
Without like specific, maybe going through like matchmaking for a super fight or something, but
1000%. Like, that's the one thing Europe and the Middle East are doing really well in terms of jiu-jitsu with para-adaptive athletes. They're hosting para tournaments all over the place. Whereas in the United States, there really aren't any. Last year, AJP held a para division at the Dallas Grand Slam. I had broken my toe like 3 weeks before that, so I had to back out, so I could be healthy for November. But yeah, it's really hard. I've done a super fight with Ironman Grappling in Connecticut. They got a super fight for me, an adaptive match against an amputee. So that was the first adaptive match in promotion history, and I won that match. And that was cool. But in terms of like tournaments, yeah, Reorg in London has one all the time, twice a year. AJP.
do you think what do you think? Because I mean, there are plenty of adaptive athletes in the United States doing jiu-jitsu too. What do you think would need to happen or change? Is it just getting those organizations to start holding tournaments here, or do you think there's something else?
I think it's, advocating. Like, I think it's getting these promoters and organizers on board with having a para division. Like, starting small with like Grappling Industries, Naga, getting them on board for having an adapted division and see where it goes. I've spoken with a lot of adapted athletes here in the United States, and a lot of them are worried they're going to get injured. Like, they train jiu-jitsu, but they don't want to compete because they don't want to get injured. And it's like, well, you don't have to compete against able-bodied people. Like, that's why we have adapted divisions. And in the adapted division, they're not allowed to attack my right arm. And I'm not allowed to attack
Name it.
whatever their disability is. So it kind of like levels the playing field. In Abu Dhabi, I can't tell you how many times, like, I knew my arm, if I was in IBJJF, was going to get ripped off. But because they couldn't attack it, I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you could be a little more lax with it.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I did the New Jersey Open last year, and the guy did a flying armbar on my weak arm in like 7 seconds. And Vicente was like, well, we knew it was going to happen eventually. He was like, we knew it was going to happen eventually.
Someone was bound to
He was like,
take
at least,
advantage.
He's like, all right, well, what finally happened?
he's like, at least that happened at
There you
purple
go.
belt, like 3.5, 4 years into competing. Like, but I've talked to so many opponents, and they're like, halfway through the match, we realized how good you were at jiu-jitsu, and we wanted to win.
I want to beat you. yeah, bro.
They're like, I think you might be better at jiu-jitsu than me, but
Yeah, I mean,
I had to take advantage of my advantages.
the guy in Spain was kind of like that. He didn't really speak English, but like, we could like kind of communicate. He was like, your nogi is he was like, thumbs up, like really good. He was like, I had to attack
I had to do it, dude. I don't
He
know.
beat me on points, but he tried to wrist lock my weak arm, and I just looked at him.
Fuck
I'm not
guy.
having this. either.
You're like, it's useless anyways. Break it, bro.
Yeah, it's so weird with my CP because like, it doesn't hurt, but I can feel the pressure. Like, if you put it in an armbar, it doesn't hurt, but I can feel the pressure.
Like, it's not in a good position. Like,
Yeah.
something bad's gonna happen.
Exactly, but I don't know like when to tap. So I tap quick in the training, but like in tournaments, yeah, I can let it
You can run with it for a
I
second.
can run with it for a few seconds.
So that probably explains why I remember you always had a cast on in high school. Like you were always
break bones.
breaking your arm.
Would always break bones. I also did some really stupid things in high school. Like,
You guys played football, you told me.
well, not just that, but like growing up watching like Bam Margera on MTV and Johnny Knoxville and
Some
doing
jackass.
doing some jackass stuff. Like,
Hey, this is RJ. I'm about to watch me do the.
I had a half pipe in the backyard.
Okay.
So like we would always do stupid stuff on the half pipe. I wasn't really responsible.
Well, and you were also big into like the
motocross.
bikes.
Yeah, we had a motocross track in the backyard.
This guy loves adrenaline. He's an adrenaline guy.
Prospect Bay did not like that. I've skydived like 6 times. I love skydiving.
You love adrenaline.
Yeah. I love sky. Last time I went skydiving, the guy was like, man, we got to get you certified, like to jump solo. But the problem is the parachute, the cord's on the right side, so I'd have to reach across.
Be smart about that.
I go like that, and
be
I'm
smart
like,
about
man,
that.
I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah, the failure point is
Too high.
the risk of failure.
And it's hard. He said I can get like a modified parachute, but they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like very, very expensive.
Dude, this was great.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of last remarks or anything?
You got Worlds coming up, man.
I got Worlds coming up in November. Obviously, I'm going to do some IBJJS before that. Going to do Virginia Open. Going to do New York Open. Maybe Toronto. Something. I just want to go to Canada for some reason. And then I'll put it out there like as a hint, but like we're working on putting together a like an adaptive jiu-jitsu seminar tour for 2026. I'm getting one scheduled now for the United States. I already have 2 on the books for this summer. So if your gym wants an adaptive seminar, hit me up. But for 2026, I want to do one in Australia.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, when you have all that put together, let us know, dude. We'll pump it out too.
Oh yeah, for sure. And where can people get in touch with you for booking that?
They can hit me up on Instagram. I'm the One-Handed Bandit BJJ.
And we'll put your
we'll write it out in the show notes.
And I have posts on my page promoting adaptive seminars with my accomplishments. So you can either comment there or just shoot me a DM.
Any other shout outs you want to make before we wrap this thing?
Just one. Really want to give a shout out to Guy Dama. I messaged Guy Dama back in December. Told him I was an adaptive athlete and that I wanted to be part of their team and what they do. And I just wanted to say thank you to them. They're been nothing but supportive. Carla, Kendall, Chelsea, really good group of people, and I couldn't be more thankful for them supporting me in my adaptive para jiu-jitsu, just trying to get the name out there and get awareness out there that, like, hey, there's people out here, and disability belongs in combat sports. So just want to give a huge shout out to Gaidama and all those people.
Awesome, man. Big thank you to RJ for being on the show. It's great testament to how people can adapt and overcome and be successful in the sport, even outside of just the adaptive division. And thank you as always for listening to Fighters Drinking Coffee. Make sure to, as always, follow, like, subscribe. Those reviews on Spotify, Apple iTunes, wherever you guys listen is a big help. Follow us on Instagram at Fighters Drinking Coffee and, join the Discord. We'll have all of that in the show notes along with how to get in touch with RJ, regarding, scheduling seminars or just to follow him, see what and keep track of what he's doing. Probably buy Gaidama gear through his, code. I'm sure he has one on there too. But yeah, definitely check it out and we will see you guys next time. Bye.